This is He Knows His Sport, bringing you that heat and that fire. Listen, I like Terrence Crawford. I just want to put that out there. Anyone that thinks that, I have an issue with Terrence Crawford, that's not the case. I actually like him. I actually respect the level of fighter that he is. I want to put that out there. Just like I respect Anthony Joshua and just like I respect a Canelo Alvarez. The thing with me is I just can't overrate people and I have to put them in their truest and most properest levels. Sometimes that's going to make me even have issues with some of my real G's, my super real G's, and my ultimate real G's out here in these boxing streets. The truth of the fact of the matter and the point is this, and folks need to understand that. And they need to be mindful of this. Terrence Crawford, to me, outside of Errol the True Spence, is a dominant welterweight. But I was factual and I was in truth-telling fashion when I said that, to me, he is not far a real welterweight yet. I know that that offends people and it hurts people's feelings, but you guys have to look at the underneath the surface of what I'm saying. Jeff Horn is a guy that, let's be real, man, any of those top guys can beat. The fact that he got that belt from Manny Pacquiao, that was a lame duck win. We knew Manny Pacquiao beat him. I don't know what was going on at Top Rank, but Bob Arum, he's done that before because he did that with Timothy Bradley. When there's some kind of dispute or some kind of issue with him and Manny Pacquiao, and that's why this is the instance that I can't stand with Bob Arum. When he doesn't like the route that his fighter is taking, or if his fighter is standing up against him, or they're basically not being loyal in his mind, I'm going to say it again, not being loyal in his mind, or there's a dispute, it's kind of like he feeds them to the wolves, so to speak. He did that with Manny Pacquiao with Timothy Bradley, and he did that with Manny Pacquiao with Jeff Horn. Jeff Horn is not a guy that is credible at the welterweight division. We know that. So when Terrence Crawford won that video, come on, man. It's interesting to me. And I have to point that out because I'm tired of, folks not seeing this for what it is. I know I get on Terrence Crawford and Bomac, and I always say them Negroes don't know how to count their money. I'm going to say it again, them Negroes don't know how to count their money. And even though that's the truth, the point is this. Bob Arum has favoritism. He does not treat every fighter the same in his stable. And folks have to see that for what it is. The only issue that I have with Terrence Crawford is not him as a fighter. Because I like Bud. I'm on wax saying in this modern day era, outside of Errol the True Spence, he's my second favorite fighter. And shout outs to JB. That's my boy, man. He's my bro at arms. We go blow for blows, on YouTube from time to time about it because, he rides or die with Terrence Crawford. I ride or die with Errol Spence. But I respect him, man, and hats off to him. You know what I'm saying? I'm going to give him a shout out, man, because JB, you're boxing, bro. He's boxed before. He's been in the square circle. So I respect anything that comes out of his mouth because I know it's coming from a place of knowledge and it's coming from a place of understanding. And it's boring if me and you were to sit there and not, have our verbal spats or verbal blows when it comes to Terrence Crawford and Errol Spence. It'd be boring. You know that. And it's not going to be the last time, especially if that fight were to actually take place and it's signed on the dotted line. Me and you really might go blow for blows. You know what I'm saying? But it is what it is, man. But I still respect your opinions when you say stuff about Terrence Crawford because I know that you're not coming from it at an angle of an ultra fanboy. You're not an ultra fanboy. And I don't see you as such. I see you as an ultimate real G out here in these boxing streets. That's the respect you get from me. You've been riding and dying with He Knows His Sport from the jump, from the beginning. And I felt that I needed to give you this special shout out, bro. But let's keep it real. Because you know me. As much as I respect you and I respect your opinions, you know what I'm saying? I still got to look at stuff for what it is. That's just me, man. It's something about me and you're the same way. And I think that's why when we go at each other, we go at each other hard. Because we the same way. We cut from the same cloth, man. We're truth tellers. When I see something that don't make sense to me, I have to say something about it. If I don't feel right. And I think you could understand that, JB, and you could respect that. And the thing with Terrence Bud Crawford, to me, I feel that he needs to fight a Kell Brook. That's a litmus test for me. Because let's keep it real. Jose Benavidez had one leg. And if he had two legs, that possibly could have been Terrence Bud Crawford's real and first loss. I know deep down, JB, you see it that way too. Because come on, man. Jose Benavidez, that just shows how good he is. And that just showed us if he didn't get shot, he could have been something serious for anybody. Even Errol Spence, if he had two legs, he'd have been serious for anybody at the welterweight division. I have to keep it real. Because he pushed Terrence Bud Crawford to 12 rounds with one leg. Imagine if he had two good legs. A lot of that had to do with Terrence Bud Crawford. I'm not going to take nothing away from him. But also a lot of it had to do with the fact that I believe that one leg that was shot gave out on him. And he got tired. But to push a man 12 rounds on one leg, it speaks volumes to me as the fighter that you are. You know, and that's just the truth of the fact of the matter. Folks got to understand where I'm coming from with this. They have to understand that. Terrence Bud Crawford also fought an Amir Khan that was 5 years past his prime. We have to keep things in its proper perspective, folks. We have to be cutthroat. We have to be unadulterated. And we have to be truth tellers out here. We have to be cold-hearted with it. Amir Khan was not Amir Khan, man. When he fought Amir Khan, he was battered and beaten down. He was past his prime. He was a few steps too slow. These are the three people that Terrence Bud Crawford has fought at the welterweight division. And we have to see this for what it is. So when somebody like Keith Thurman comes out and says that Terrence Bud Crawford has not fought a real welterweight yet, I agree with that vehemently. And my real litmus test for him is Kell Brook. And I noticed when they mentioned the Kell Brook question, he didn't give a definitive answer. Usually Terrence Bud Crawford gives a definitive answer. He was like, we'll see. We'll see. You know, like, that's not Bud. That's not that energy that I know from Bud. Bud will take work off of anybody. And again, I'm not sitting here saying or alleging or accusing that Bud is afraid of Kell Brook. But what's up with not going to take that work? And I don't agree with him having to go, to Sheffield and fight Kell Brook. No, Kell Brook is the B-side in that scenario. Kell Brook's going to have to fight him here in the United States. He's no longer an elite welterweight. But he is a serious, dangerous opponent enough to where it's going to be a real litmus test. Because a 75% Kell Brook, because you got to remember, Errol the True Spence took 25% of a chunk out of him. A 75% Kell Brook is still enough to push Bud in ways that Bud hasn't been pushed. Because last time I checked, Kell Brook has not faltered by a welterweight minus Errol the True Spence. That's his only loss at 147. And if that's his loss at 147, that means he's still credible at 147. There's no shame or there's no love lost when you lose to the best guy, the boogeyman of the division. So to me, until somebody challenges Kell Brook, Kell Brook's right there in the thick of things, even though he no longer fights actively at 147. We know he's at 154 now. But he's been willing to say that he's going to go down. He showed up at Bud's fight against Amir Khan, and he said, I'm ready for that work. And I've never known Bud to duck or dodge any opponent. And I'm not accusing him of doing that, but I don't see him also clamoring for the fight. Why is that? And when Bomac was asked questions, all Bomac had to say, I get it. You're not going to go to Sheffield. You're not going to go to the UK. That makes sense. Even though it's a great money generator, it doesn't make sense because Terrence Bud Crawford is the champion. Kell Brook's not the champion. So Kell Brook has to bring his ass with Eddie Hearn here to the United States for them to fight. We know that. We're not dumb here. We're deep thinkers here. Remember that. But the truth of the fact of the matter is Bomac should have changed the argument and not say, oh, no, he's not next on the plate. We're not going to fight him. Because when you do that, in your body language, even though you're not saying that, you're kind of saying you're ducking. I know people don't want to hear that, but that's the truth. Just like folks go out there and they go as far as to say that Errol the True Spence through his body language is showing that he's ducking Crawford. You got to say the same with Crawford and Kell Brook. You have to. You got to be fair, man. You can't just throw it on Errol Spence, but don't throw it on Bud. Now, if you do that, that's ultra fanboy rhetoric right there. Because if you're going to be fair on one side of the ball, you got to be fair on all sides of the ball. That's the way that I look at it. It's all about conversation and dialogue, folks. And we have to be able to see things from all sides of the angle. Yes, I can see things from all sides of the angle too. Just because I'm a truth teller, that doesn't mean I can't either. But the truth of the fact of the matter is, Terrence Bud Crawford is not clamoring for that fight. I don't know what the real reason is behind that, but it's not a good look. And Terrence Bud Crawford needs to have a fight like that on his welterweight resume. Because if he fights Kell Brook, he shuts up Keith Thurman. If he fights Kell Brook, he shuts up Errol the True Spence. Now they won't be saying this conversation on, hey, man, he has not fought a real welterweight or he's too light on his ass. They ain't going to be hearing none of that. They're going to really respect him and say, okay, he's credible. There's a reason why people feel like he's in between 140 and 147, because he hasn't really fought anybody credible at 147 for us to give him that. Danny Garcia would have been the credible winner, but that's not Terrence Bud Crawford's fault. That's more so Danny cherry picking Garcia that don't want that smoke, because they have previously been in negotiations for a fight, and then out of nowhere, Danny Garcia has sat there and just kind of broke up the negotiations. He's sitting there saying there needs to be more money, but come on, we know he's ducking that work. We know he don't want no parts of Bud, because Bud will expose him on so many different forms, so many different variations, and so many different facets. You guys have been hearing me, and I've been quoted saying it on wax that Terrence Bud Crawford is a first-tier welterweight, and rightfully so. He almost does not have that many mistakes in his arsenal. He almost doesn't have that many mistakes. There's one glaring deficiency, and that's because it's a glaring deficiency that's always been there, but it's part of his strength. It's his pro, but it's also his con. And that's where he likes to get into that dogfight where he gets hit and then he acts like a kid and he wants to hit you back. That's his weakness. That will get exposed by Errol the True Spence. And to a lesser degree, I think Kell Brook can expose that. That's why I want that fight. It's a litmus test, folks. And I know if Terrence Bud Crawford fights Kell Brook, then that fight will be for real. That fight will be serious. And if Terrence Bud Crawford could go in there against a 75% Kell Brook and get him out of there in emphatic fashion, I'm talking about 5 rounds and down, y'all gonna hear me put 100% respect on Terrence Bud Crawford's name if he can do that. But I highly doubt he can. I believe that that's going to be a long fight, an arduous fight, and it's going to be an outpointing type of fight, because Kell Brooks is not going to drop through Terrence Bud Crawford's power. Now, Terrence Bud Crawford's power is underrated. He is powerful. I believe that. He's not small by any stretch of the imagination, but I don't believe he has enough pop to drop, and I mean drop and TKO stoppage Kell Brook. That's not happening, because if you got the tactical aggression, the technical punching placement, the body snatching work, the levying onslaught, courtesy, punishment style of Errol the True Spence that took 11 rounds to get Kell Brook out of there via boys to men bended knee style, then I don't believe Terrence Bud Crawford has the power that Errol the True Spence has. So I don't believe he's going to be able to do it in a quicker, more emphatic fashion. But if he does do that, man, I would eat so much crow. I'd be the first one to come out before anybody else and say, okay, Bud is legit. But he needs that on his resume. This is what Errol the True Spence is talking about when he says he's too light on his ass. This is what Keith Thurman is talking about when he says he has not fought a real welterweight. And bottom line is Bud needs to have that on his resume. Now, Keith Thurman, I'm coming for your neck. Because I keeps the foot on the what? On the neck. I keeps the foot on the what? On the necks. Keith Thurman, you know you duck timing and you run timing, Bud. Now, mind you, what you said was credible, but we all know you don't want no parts of Bud, because Bud will expose you on levels beyond levels, because we know, like Meek Mill say, there's levels to this stuff. I believe that Terrence Bud Crawford would dispatch and demolish and trounce and expose a Keith Thurman. I believe that. But you can't take away what Keith Thurman said when he said that he has not fought a real welterweight. That is facts. So you Bud fans out there, you Bud fanboys, I know you don't want to hear this, but it's the truth. I have nothing but respect for Terrence Bud Crawford. But if he wants my full and undivided attention for the Errol the True Spence fight, he needs to fight Kell Brook. That's the only road he has. And the reason why he set himself up that in that limitation is because he signed with Top Rank. So we need to see that Kell Brook versus Bud fight. Bud knows he ain't going to get no other opponents. So he might as well just go in and negotiate that. This is He Knows His Sport. Check it out.